Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Momsense Podcast. I am your host, Kyleigh.
And I'm Kambria.
This week, we're going to talk about juggling all the things as a mom. So, as we told you guys last week, Cam and I are on kind of different spectrums. So, Cam's a stay-at-home mom, and I'm a working mom. And so, juggling the tiny humans and the husbands and all the other things looks very different for us, but, it's still juggling it. So, Cam, what does mom managing look like for you?
Oh my. So not only am I a stay-at-home mom, but my kids are, 12, 3, and 1. And managing that age gap has been very difficult.
Yeah.
Like right now, Kinsey is about to start school again. So next week we're starting up cheer and
all the extracurriculars.
All of the extra things. And, we're just blowing and going. You know, I got to load the babies up. We got to go take her to cheer, come back. And it's busy. It's a lot. And it's really time consuming. And it's almost funny because my husband tells me, like, you need to find a hobby. You need to do something for yourself. I'm like, with
what time?
Yeah, with what time? Like, I have zero time between, the constant some things that we have going on. So, like, for example, this summer we had swim for the babies, ISR, and it's a 10-minute session every single day, Monday through Friday at the same time. And
that's a lot.
It is. And, I highly recommend it. It's, survival skills for your kids, for your babies. And now jet swimming, great. But, I mean, that was like, it was exhausting for me, almost to the point where it's embarrassing. But, that's something that really, like, oh my gosh, it was all summer. And now we're done with swim and now we're getting into cheer. So,
one thing to the next.
Yeah, one thing to the next. So juggling that has been, interesting because with all that, there's a lot of mom guilt with Kenzie because I'm like, I can't be the fun mom right now. I'm not in the fun mom season. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And
you're in the chasing the toddlers season.
Yes. And then they're like, please make sure the door's shut. Hey, can you please help me do this? And it's hard because it is so easy to just ask her.
Well, I don't know. She's a big help.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But she's a huge help juggling for sure. But yeah, so what about you? Because you have, what does your everyday look like? Because I cannot imagine if I'm overwhelmed in this season, which everyone's, crazy overwhelmingness, that's not even a word. But, everyone has their level of like, oh my gosh, this is a lot, no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely. I could not do what you do. I could not be a stay-at-home mom. I told Brady in the beginning, like, I am just not that person. And kudos to all the people that are. I am way too social. My social battery is absolutely refueled by going into the office, by seeing people, by talking, and just having that social interaction every day.
What's your culture index?
I'm a coordinator.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. So my B is like on that side. The only other thing that's on this side is my detail. So everything else, I got no patience and I got very little autonomy.
Yeah. A random work thing.
Over here.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So with all of that, at nighttime, I try to prepare Xander for the next day. I try to prepare myself for the next day. So whenever I get off, I, pick up Z, go home. I am not the best at like making sure the dinner is cooked every night. There are nights that dinner is not cooked. Sorry, Brady. We are absolutely guilty of going out to dinner. I mean,
I hate cooking.
Yeah. I don't
hate it.
I don't enjoy cooking necessarily, and I cook the same basic meals like spaghetti every single night of the week.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and so try and cook dinner, and then I do try to stick to a routine with Xander. We do like playtime when we get home. It's then we eat, we take a bath, we get a bottle, we go to bed like every night around 7:30. Now he is a routine child, and so like even if we aren't forcing, hey, it's time for bath. It's time, like he is ready to go. He starts getting cranky, and it is time for bed.
And that's so good for you too.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I try to, the night before, make sure that his clothes are packed, an extra pair of clothes for daycare. I make sure that, diapers are in his diaper bag. I try to make sure that all of the bottles are washed. And so, like, just prepping the night before is what my end of the day looks like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of like OCD about my house being picked up at the end of the day.
Oh,
So once
me
Z goes
too.
to bed, I want to make sure that even if there's dishes in the sink, I just pick up the toys, pick up the clothes out of the floor, just general somewhat of order. Because for me, like, if my house is a mess, my mental health is a mess.
Oh, same. Literally. And it drives Justin crazy.
Yeah,
But I'm
Brady will
like,
be like, just lay down. I'm like, I can't.
yes, no, I cannot relax until every single goldfish is picked
Yeah.
up off of the floor. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that too is just, making that's what works for you.
Yeah. Like you
There,
can't operate in
no, and
chaos.
I know other people that are opposite. They're like, I don't have the energy at the end of the night, and I'm gonna get up tomorrow and do it. Or maybe,
I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. Oh.
everybody, it works for everybody else.
Yeah.
Different ways. But yeah, just preparing the night before, and then, getting up in the morning, I have to allot myself a quite a bit of extra time to get out the door.
Oh,
And I mean, all
yeah.
moms know that. All moms know, like, okay, if you need to be there at this time, you need to give yourself 5 extra hours.
Yeah.
Because
Literally.
trying to get yourself ready and get your kid ready and all the things. I mean, this morning Xander was so clingy, and I think just we had doctor's appointments and pokes and prods yesterday, and so I think he was very clingy this morning. So getting ready this morning was hard.
Yeah.
So the days that are like that are difficult, and then the days that I set him on the ground and he crawls around and does his thing are fantastic.
So with that, so you're gone almost all day.
Yeah.
And then you have your time with Xander. How do you juggle your marriage within all of that and your house chores? Because that's something like being at home. I do have, like, right now my bedding is in the wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I can get stuff done during the day.
Yeah.
How does that work for y'all, and how do you and Brady like juggle the different responsibilities?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Brady's a great partner. I mean, I will give him all the kudos in the world. He manages to do, like, all of our laundry for the majority. I don't touch laundry hardly ever.
Wow.
Unless I just need something done, he does it all. Now, part of that is, like, he wants his clothes washed immediately, and I'm just like, they could sit there for a week. I'll just go buy new clothes.
I do laundry every day. I'm crazy.
Yeah. Brady is the do laundry every day person. And I would just say, like, we do a good job of just making sure that, if you see something that needs to be done, just do it. Whether that's taking the trash out, picking the toys up, whatever it is. So we operate well as far as splitting up household chores. There's no, like, it's your job, it's my job. We just do it.
Yeah. And what about time, just y'all juggling time together?
Time together,
Xander?
yes.
That's hard.
So Xander going to bed at 7:30 is great.
Yes.
So it helps for us at the end of the night to be able to either sit down and watch a TV show together or have some dinner together or things like that. But we also do make it a priority, whether that's, hey, grandparents, can you keep the baby while we go out and have dinner? Or when Brady's schedule has shifted recently, but before it was, on Fridays when he would be off, I would be able to leave work a little bit early on a Friday, and I would say, hey, we're gonna go eat somewhere, or let's go run into Old Navy, or whatever it was. Just go
doing
have some
something.
time.
Yes.
While Xander's still at daycare, because I don't like to leave him super late, but daycare's from 6:30 to 6:30. So if I kept
and you're paying for that.
I was gonna say, if I kept him there until 5:30, then I don't feel guilty.
And you shouldn't, because it's so healthy for your marriage. You have
need
to
to
make
set the time
for your spouse.
One thing that I always have said, like, even prior to having Xander, was like, you always want to date your husband. Always date your husband.
Yes.
I mean, even if it's not going out every single week, it's setting aside time for just the two of you.
Yes.
So it's so important.
It is. And juggling marriage for me with 3 kids is so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, the Bible says that you put your spouse first, and I'm in a season that's very much like, hey babe, I'm sorry, I got to do this for the kids first. I have, all of these other things that are going on, where it is so easy to just, like, not push him to the side, but not make my marriage my
The
priority. And making sure that I give everyone enough time and everyone feels loved, and then also fueling myself for
I
my
say,
own mental health.
I can't imagine also being at home all day long with babies, right?
Yeah.
And them being held and being on you and just mommy, 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 and constantly needing affection and attention and all the things for your husband to get home and want your love and affection and attention. And you're
Yeah.
like, I am touched out.
Yeah,
I
like
am
my battery is 0.
Yeah, I am overstimulated. I love you so much, but can we just sit in silence, please?
Yes, and that's where, like, being a working mom and actually going into the office, like, you have that not alone time. You're working, you're doing things, but you have interaction
You have
with
your
other people.
mental alone
Yeah,
time.
I told Justin a while back, I think I'm getting stupid. Like, I'm getting dumb. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, all I do is just talk to babies all
Kids.
day, and we're watching baby shows, or,
Hey, you're probably the smartest person of all of us. You know your ABCs.
yeah.
And your 1, 2, 3s.
Exactly. But he was like, well, maybe you should, like, do some crossword puzzles or something. And I was like, oh my
You're
gosh.
like, thank you for
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
insight.
but I mean, just having normal social interaction with other adults is a huge thing whenever you're just, ABCing and 1, 2, 3 and all day. I mean, and it's wonderful, and I'm blessed, and I don't,
Yeah.
that's not a complaint at all. But yeah, social battery, everything is like 0 by the time he gets home. And here he is just like, hello, I want you to be so excited to see me. And some days are like, the house is, chaos.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when Brady was initially working nights, and that was really hard to do, like bedtime routine, and you're doing morning routine because by the time that he goes in at night, like it's before bedtime, and by the time he gets home in the morning,
Yeah.
you're getting up to start your day, and he's going to bed. And so that was really difficult. But when we were doing that, I used to get so frustrated on the days that he was off because he would have all day where he went to the gym and
Oh my
he
gosh.
did whatever else, and then he would get home, and then I would get home at the end of the day, and he'd be like, "Let's go do something. I'm bored. I want to go to dinner. I want to
Oh, yeah,
do
you're
something."
like-
And I'm like, I have been away from the house all day. All I want to do at this point
It's just,
is get in my bed.
Oh my-
That's all I want to do.
yeah,
And I want you to take the baby so I can go take a shower.
by myself.
But yes, and not because he's never said no or anything like that, but to your point, your social battery, your battery in general is dead at the end of the day.
Yeah. No matter what you're doing.
I would say
yeah.
it's the same on the other end.
Yeah, yeah.
And you do feel guilt. Like by the time you get home and you have time to spend with them, it's very short
Yeah.
before they go to bed.
Yeah.
And then, you've got these options of, do I get up and get all of the stuff done that I need to get done? Or do I just take some time for myself? Or do I take time and spend it with my husband? Or like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
This much of free time?
Exactly. No, I can't imagine, because I feel like I'm constantly doing something all day long to, keep our house in order, to keep the kids scheduled, to keep everything just smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I can't imagine. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
I mean, it's hard on both ends because like I said, I couldn't do what you do. I could not.
It's fun.
Kudos to you.
It's fun. Some days are better than others. And, right now, Kenzie's a preteen. Jet is a 3-nager. And Oakley is about to start walking. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, we are just going.
Yeah.
Like, and, Justin travels a lot. And that can be really hard. Sometimes too, either whether I'm juggling, preparing for him
To go out.
to go, or whether we are preparing to go with him.
Yeah.
Because you gotta load up the whole house
Mm-hmm.
anytime you leave with the babies.
I
and
know.
yeah,
I know we're going on vacation here in a few weeks, and I was talking with my mother-in-law, and she's like, "Hey, we could all ride together." And I was like, "Great idea." I won't have to drive. Brady doesn't have to drive.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Then I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I was like, we're not going to be able to fit 4 adults and an infant and all of our things in one vehicle.
All of the things.
Like, it's just because you have the pack and play and the bouncy chair and the this and the that. And
Yes.
there is just no way, because you have to pack everything that you could possibly need.
Yeah.
Because baby stuff is expensive. You don't want to be gone
Right.
somewhere and need something.
Nope. No, thank you.
No.
Yeah.
So we talked about a little bit about social life, and I want to touch on that too, because like, how do you juggle that? Like, how do you make time outside of the household to go see your friends?
So honestly, I don't. And that is something that I'm working on, but it's not easy. I mean, the last time I saw my best friend, Holly, was on my birthday. Before that, I hadn't seen her since April. So my birthday's June.
Yeah.
And then Valentina just moved back from.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And haven't seen her since June as well. I mean, where are we in July? Let's see.
No, we're in August.
Oh, yeah. See, don't know. Don't know. And it's hard because then, on the weekends, typically we're doing stuff with the kids or we're racing.
Yeah.
And then, Holly has her kids. Val has her dogs. Like, just trying to coordinate and actually, like, see friends is very few and far between.
Yeah.
And leaving the house without the kids is, like, one of those, like, breath of fresh air things.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, oh, my gosh,
I miss them.
Yeah, exactly. And then I feel guilty if I am leaving. But I'm like, no, you have to do this for you.
Yeah.
You have to worry about yourself. And I'm so thankful that Justin makes fun of me. He's like, you have 2 best friends. That's it. I'm like, look, it's fine. It works.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. I know. I swear, everyone thinks they're Justin's best friend. And I'm just like, boy. But he is a good friend. He's a great friend.
He is.
He's got lots of friends. But I'm thankful that they understand the season of life that I'm in.
Yeah.
And they're not
That's so important.
They're not the friend that's like, oh my gosh, you haven't talked to me in 3 weeks. Like, do you hate me? Like, no.
That's
time.
a lot to
Yeah.
carry too. That's a lot to carry somebody else's
Yes.
emotions of worrying about, am I being a good friend to them? Are they worried about me being a good friend because I still love them? I'm just in a
Yeah.
place where I don't have the extra time.
Yeah. Last night I was texting Michaela about her baby shower coming up. And I went to go text her, and then I was like, oh, she texted me in June, and I forgot to respond.
I do that all the time.
And here we are now, August. And I was texting her, I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I thought about it. There was like, I will, and then I never finished the sentence. I'm like,
Yes.
what did I do? Just swipe off, and then something else happened? And
Yeah.
I'm like, juggling friends, juggling social life is just like difficult.
It is. It is. I was talking to a girlfriend actually last night, and I was telling her, I'm so sorry for the friend that I've been in this season. I have felt like I haven't seen her and her family in a long time. And she was over to get her hair done, and I don't do hair very often, but they do so much for us. And so when she said, hey, I need some advice, I was like, girl, I'll do it. Instead of you going and spending hundreds of dollars somewhere else, I'll do it for you for free.
Yeah.
So she was over last night, which was so nice. Yes, I was working essentially, but it was so nice just to have that like time
yeah.
and talk. But I was just telling her, like, I'm so sorry for the friend that I've been in this season. And she's like, no, you're fine. And I said, I feel like in general, it's not even a you.
Yeah.
Our friendship, it's all of my friendships. Not that they have gone on the back burner, but I'm just in a season where even like I don't see my family as often as I used to see them.
Yeah. No,
Because
agreed.
on the weekends that Brady is home, we want to spend the time together. And the, evenings, again, Brady works until 6 o'clock. And so he's not home until 7 o'clock at night. And
Yeah.
so when he does get home, you want to spend time. And it's hard to do things by yourself with a baby.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of my friends are also in the phase of life where they do have children as well. So your schedules and their schedules and everything just doesn't always match up. And I have felt really guilty about the friend that I've been.
Yeah. I would agree.
I'm really close with my coworkers. for the fact that they're great people.
Yeah.
But also it's really convenient because you see them every single day.
Exactly.
It's really convenient to talk to them all day long, text them in the evening.
Go to lunch.
Have the time, see them on the weekends. Because, again, I've seen you all week, so it's really easy for me to say, yep, real fast, I'm going to put this on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then your other friend texts you and is like, hey, we've got this going on today. What are you doing? And it's like, I already have plans.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, in this season, I have felt like, our little family is number one, as it should be. But I do feel like, in general, having a social life's not always a priority.
Yeah, no. And then, like you said, the guilt, like whenever I do actually go do something, then I'm like, oh no, like I miss my babies and I need my babies. And what if they need something? What if, they could have come with us? And
yep.
And I'm like,
we have made a point for whatever we go do, we do take Xander with us for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is good for him. It is good for him. And he's a good baby, so it makes it easy.
Yeah. We typically always have our kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sorry, everyone. Like, bring in the whole crew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't want to cut this off because I feel like this has been a really great topic. But let's close out with a mom fail or a mom win from this week.
Oh, yes. So I have a mom win this week.
Okay.
And, a little bit of backstory. This week has been awful. Just being honest. I mean, and just for the sake of, there's so much going on. Jet was just like not behaving, not listening. Oakley's teething, and then I'm trying to make sure that Kinsey has everything for back to school. So it's not awful. It's just been difficult.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jet was just losing his mind on the littlest things, and it was just like, oh my gosh. So I in the morning had my praise and worship music on, and the kids were, slowly getting out of bed. And, it's important to remember the little things, the good things, especially whenever you're like, oh my gosh, he was just screaming for 45 minutes, throwing a tantrum, threw a hammer, not really, but, a toy hammer. But just one of those rough weeks. And so I'm playing my music, the kids are getting up, Jet's having his breakfast, and Oakley is just like bebopping around the living room, and the song Praise by Elevation Worship came on. And Jet turns around and he looks at me and he just starts singing at the top of his lungs.
Oh my gosh.
And he's dancing, and then he goes to Oakley and he's singing to her and making her like raise her hands. And the song ends and he says, hallelujah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, what 3-year-old knows how to say hallelujah, what it means? I mean, he doesn't necessarily know what it means, but the context
that's a good example.
Yes, of the moment. And I'm like, in this moment where I, was feeling like, Jet, just stop, just listen. I think about that and I'm like, my mom win is that, like, I know that I'm raising my babies to know and love Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I could fail at everything else in the world, but if I do that, then that is a win over everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he says, hallelujah. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm going to need a video of that next time.
Yes. Oh, it was so cute. But okay, do you have a mom fail or win?
I have a win this week.
Oh, I like it.
Yes.
2 wins.
2 wins. I would say my win is kind of a toot of my own horn here is
Good
like,
for you.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta.
You do.
So this week, Xander we went and did allergy testing.
Yeah.
And going through this process, becoming a parent, something that like I didn't even think about is how much you have to be an advocate for your child.
Oh my gosh.
These babies don't have a voice. They can't tell you when they're in pain. They can't tell you when something's bothering them. They can't do any of that. And they can't make appointments for themselves. And so being an advocate for your child is not always easy because you want to trust the doctors. You want to assume the best of people. And I'm not saying that the doctors have done anything wrong. But I initially called from was recommended from our pediatrician. I called the allergist, and they told me, this is a pediatric allergist, told me that they couldn't see Xander until January 28th. And I just said,
5 months away?
absolutely not.
What?
My son is not waiting that many months to
No.
find out if or if not he has an allergy to food. Because
Yeah.
so many foods
That's scary.
could kill him, you know? And so I just said absolutely not. And I started doing some research, calling around to different places. Finally found a place. Shout out to one of our coworkers. His wife works at this place, and so I called her. And so yes, I pulled some strings.
Good for you.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
Yes.
And so I called, and she was like, "Girl, no, I'll see you tomorrow." So
what a blessing.
Yes, got Z in, got him tested, all the good stuff. So my mom Lynn is just like being an advocate and pushing for what your child needs.
Yes.
You know, and it wasn't easy to go and have him poked and prodded all day yesterday and to hear him scream and have to hold him down. Like, there's nothing worse than your child being in pain and knowing it's for good and just not being able to do anything. So Mom Lynn is not punching the nurse in the face whenever she was poking my kid and being an advocate for my son.
I love that.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up, I have a bone to pick with like everyone in my life that loves me.
Yeah.
I was watching last episode. No one told me that people sometimes say I'm funny. And I'm like, I'm not funny. And after watching that, I'm like, no, I'm like funny looking. I'm like, it's like, I was watching myself and I'm like feeling like, oh, that looks like Jim Carrey. Why am I so animated and talking with my hands? So I tried to like tone it down.
You tried to?
Yeah, but
You did a good job. I talk with my hands a lot too. And I do have to tone it down also.
in my facial expressions, I'm just like, oh my goodness, it's that I'm making funny faces.
I have to
while
make sure
talk.
that I don't have RBF.
Well, yeah. Exactly. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you so much. We're your hosts, Kyleigh.
And Kambria.
We'll see you next week.